Hello everybody, welcome back to Nedyalka, the channel where I talk about Bulgarian history, culture, customs, traditions, and faith. So lately I have been going through a lot of tribulation, a lot of um, ups and downs that just feels like a storm, a stretch of time filled with trials, tribulations, difficulties, relentless stress. And there have been days when it just felt like it was too much. It was overwhelming. At some point, I thought I wasn't going to be able to come back and resume, but glory to God, here we are. So I keep my videos, short. I continue to keep them simple as ever before. But through it all, I found a quiet thread of truth through this whole time, and that was like a light that comes from my Orthodox Christian faith. This really seeing through and experiencing, not just reading in books, not just hearing people talk about it, but experiencing it tangibly, how God always stays with us. He gives trials to those he loves. He doesn't chastise. He's not it's not to punish, not to refine or devalue people, but it's to draw them closer. And just like the scriptures say, the Lord disciplines the ones he loves, and he chastens everyone he accepts as his child. I've met with different people from all social strata and backgrounds. There has been much terrible distortion of the Bible. I noticed that most modern people just do not understand Christianity, period. But so what? That doesn't change the truth, and it doesn't change the facts. And being able to live through it actually can give depth and help one make meaning. And so even in the darkest hours, God doesn't abandon us. He is with us. So this understanding that He was closer than my own breath, closer than my own realization, it's been an anchor for me. And not erasing the pain, not stopping the storm, but giving it meaning, and helping me walk on water in a symbolic way speaking. And so as a woman who has been facing so many significant challenges, I actually decided to talk to you today about women's courage, and I called it Courage in Skirts. I have prepared notes as I typically do, because that eases my life given all the other stuff that I have to do, and I work full time. So I will introduce to you today some Bulgarian women with courage, and I want to interweave that with the Orthodox Christian women and bring it back to our modern day world life. As to just start, I'll do a little side track that we can weave back in with this. But this morning, this morning, I stepped outside of my porch, and my eyes were drawn to this intricate spider web. I looked at it, I rushed for the camera, I wanted to take a picture, but my phone and then my husband's phone would not capture it. It just remained like this invisible spider to the camera's lens. So I started researching it, and I realized that it was called the spiky orb weaver spider. It's fascinating. If you guys know about it, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never heard this, go ahead and research it. The spiky orb weaver spider. They have like little spikes, 2 spikes in our case, and very short legs. So it looks like almost like, I don't know, it looked like a cow's head staring at me, but I know that's the back shell. It looks like a crab. There have been different comparisons. So to the naked eye, that spider is super tiny, even fragile. To the camera lens, the web itself seems always almost invisible. Delicate threads that were shimmering in the light, the sunlight out there. And I'm looking at the porch, it's in that direction also. And I'm thinking like how, no matter what we did and how much we zoomed, it was just impossible. And yet that spider, with its patient, steady movements, it creates these masterpieces of web design, right? Now I'm a crocheter and I do have a whole bunch of projects that I'm trying to go and finish, and throughout all this stress that I felt would never end, and it's still going, it's still ongoing, crochet kept me sane. I started making little doll dresses. I'm working on yet a new one for those Waldorf dolls. Now I have not dressed her up, but she's going to look very cute in her little dress. They're adorable. I have collected a whole boots box with other examples. Like I'm making little ponchos for them and little like different designs of other dresses. When things get heavy and hectic, I just sit down and make do. This is supposed to be a glow-in-the-dark nightgown for this little tiny handmade doll. They are popular. I did not make this doll, and I am not sponsored by anybody. These videos are completely free for me and just a hobby. But yeah, this is like a little apron with another dress. The dresses are the things that I made, though. I did not make the doll, I made the dresses. Here's another thing that's gonna be an apron, and I'll have to, of course, tuck in the tails. Right now I'm just producing them, just making them, and I'm thinking that I'll give them to my friends' children, kids that I know who would enjoy. It just brought me so much motivation and just genuine kind of drive, in a time that was so dark and so endlessly turbulent. This kind of stuff gave me a lot of hope. Excuse me. So yeah, I'll just put them back into the box, coming back into topic. But remember, you guys, this whole channel that I created here with Nedyalka, the whole point is this: we sit and we talk. That's what my ancestors did. I bet yours did too. We sat, they sat, we sit and we talk, they sat and they talked. I remember as a kid, they would sit at the benches outside while waiting for the chubanin to bring back the animals from pasture. So they shared and they went through, reflection of their own trials and tribulations. So fine. So I will check in with my notes now, because I wanted to really present to you this. So, okay, I was marveling at God's creation this morning, and I thought about how something so small like that spider could carry such purpose and strength, weaving this unseen web, right, uncaptured by the camera's lens, but yet both beautiful and functional. And now we know that spider webs are also very strong. That's what scientists tell us. This tiny spider and its web reminded me also of women throughout history. Women whose courage, though often quiet or unseen, have actually held whole communities and nations together, believe it or not. They are the threads in the fabric of our human history, of our consciousness. They're woven by faith and sacrifice, resilience, intricacy, and full of life. And so, inspired by that small creature of God, my own womanly tribulations, and all these like endless, waves and blasts of stress, I just wanted to invite you to journey with me through the stories of the Bulgarian heroines and the Orthodox saints whose courage and skirts have created legacies of strength that honestly no force could unravel or undo. And so I want to ask you, reflect for a moment. What does courage actually look like to you? What do you hear when you hear the word courage? What image comes to your mind? Do you think of swords? Do you think of battlefields, a roaring lion? But I'm really speaking of courage, true courage. I'm speaking of the spiritual, absolutely essential courage And yes, I speak of the courage that wears skirts. It is this, for example, in the young school teacher, barely 20 years of age, who rides a white horse through her town, saber in her on her belt, a flag in her hand. I do have a Bulgarian flag up there, shouting that the Turkish yoke is over. It is the mother of the 12 who watches her sons go off to war, never dries her tears, yet never wavers in her devotion to freedom. It's also in the women or the woman who builds a fortress of stone and defends her people alone and unyielding. This is the courage in skirts that I want to share with you from my country. And so today, I will tell you the stories of these Bulgarian women who shaped a whole nation, and how their courage echoes that out of the great Orthodox Christian women saints were born those women of Bulgarian culture and history. I want to show you how their lives teach us in Bulgaria, but also in America and everywhere, that freedom is still won with sacrifice. There is something we have to invest and give. And it's okay for a woman to have a voice, and it's okay and completely natural for a woman to have a choice. I say that more so because ever since I have immigrated in the West, I keep stumbling across people who argue with me, and they don't even, they've even chosen not to talk to me when I share these stories. Well, nonetheless, the facts are facts, and the truth continues living. So here it is. For those of you who are interested, may you hear, because I've also witnessed those stories have healed and have encouraged to be the image of God, those very creatures that God has created, equal and powerful, especially when grounded in the truth. So the stories of strength and sacrifice, they include a few that I will mention. One of them is Raina Knyaginya. Raina Knyaginya is the seamstress of freedom. She was born in 1856 in Panagurishte in Bulgaria. Her name is actually Raina Pop Georgieva. And she was the daughter of a priest and a mother who instilled strength and faith in her. Even as a student, she boldly recited patriotic poems that angered the Turkish authorities. Now, if you guys don't know Bulgarian history, Bulgaria was under the Turkish yoke for 5 centuries, 500 years of slavery and occupation. And cruel deeds that nowadays some historians really want to lightly brush over as if it never happened. So at the age of just 20, the revolutionary Georgy Benkovsky tasked Raina with sewing the banner for the April uprising. So when she hesitated, he told her, "If you refuse, I'll shoot you where you stand." So she said, "Okay, fine, good. I'll sew it." So she embroidered the flag with what we say "Svoboda ili smrt." So it's freedom or death. Now, if you're Orthodox, you might have seen this printed on t-shirts. Some people put it on flags, and they assume that it is Russian. Well, surprise, surprise, it's actually very old Bulgarian practice. It is Orthodox. We are an Orthodox country. And so Raina embroidered the flag with the words freedom or death, svoboda ili smrt, a crowned lion that's crushing the Ottoman crescent. And then she rode through the streets atop a white horse, literally, saber and revolver by her side, calling her people to rise. Now imagine, what would that look like nowadays, right? It gives me chills just talking about this, reading and sharing with you guys. She was later imprisoned. There was a consequence. She was tortured, but she survived. Afterwards, she became Bulgaria's first formally trained midwife, healing women and educating future generations about love, the love for nation, and the sacrifice for the other people. So the other woman, her name is Nedyalka Shileva. She's associated with the banner of Unification. Okay, in the year of 1885, at the age of 18, she was a teacher. Nedyalka Shileva sewed and carried the banner for the Unification March from Gulamu Conare to Plovdiv. These are little towns and then cities, a town to the city of Plovdiv in Bulgaria. The banner declared, "Unity makes strength. Down with Eastern Rumelia." Bulgaria had been divided unfairly by the forces. And it also stated, "Freedom will not come from monks. It needs Karaja," is what it said. Now, I don't believe into this, but that's what she embroidered, right? Basically, she was really trying to get the people to rise against the yoke again, against the slavery. So unity makes strength. Down with Eastern Rumelia. Freedom comes from the Karaja. As the only woman among 326 men, when fear seized the men, she actually, that Nedyalka Shileva, was the one who scolded them. She said to them, "You guys, aren't you ashamed?" she said. "Old mustached men, look at me, a weak woman, the youngest among you." So after victory, she escorted the captured governor, saber in hand, embodying courage and resolve. She returned to teaching. That was her profession, shaping the minds with discipline and patriotism of the younger students. And I will weave this with the history a little later when I talk to you about the saints who also resisted the Muslim atrocities at the time. This is part of our history. It's no lie. It's just part of the factual information. So if you're still interested, bear with me. Another woman, her name was Anastasia Golovina. She is associated with the healing mind. Okay, so the first Bulgarian woman doctor, that's her, Anastasia Golovina. She studied medicine in Zurich and in Paris. Returning home, she served tirelessly as a psychiatrist, a teacher, a journalist, and also she was committed to healing both bodies and the national spirit. She was sent on secret missions by Prince Alexander Battenberg. She listened to people's hearts and helped them build a strong Bulgaria through intellect and compassion. She moves me. I mean, come on, I work as a mental health professional. I work in the field of trauma healing. I'm moved. I'm Bulgarian. I'm, connecting to different, cultures. It's so inspiring. Let's go to another one. Ekaterina Karavelova. In English, you guys can call her Catherine. That would be the English version, but we say Ekaterina Karavelova. She was the voice of peace. So she was a wife and advisor to the Prime Minister Petka Karavelov. Ekaterina was more than a political spouse, though. During the Serbian-Bulgarian War, as Sofia panicked, she rode through the city, calming the citizens by shouting, "Don't be afraid, our boys will not be defeated. Today we are down, but tomorrow we will rise." Imagine going through downtown and shouting this, right? Giving hope and motivation to other people in spite of what political craziness brings. Founder of the Bulgarian Women's Union and protector of minorities, Ekaterina showed that power often wears a woman's face. Quiet, steady, and faithful. Let's go to Baba Tonka. Baba Tonka is the mother of rebels. She had 12 children. Many lost to war and imprisonment. Her home was a rebel safe house. When asked if she could stop fighting, she simply said, "If I had 4 more sons, I would give them 2. She wore a black veil symbolizing mourning and defiance. Baba Tonka's courage was maternal And it was relentless. Nursing prisoners, hiding fighters, protecting her people until the end. How about Baba Vida? I remember when I studied her in school, I was clueless at the time into all these the seriousness of life. But Baba Vida, she's the emblem of the fortress woman. She's the Bulgarian, where the legend tells us that she was she was a noble woman. So noble woman Vida. She refused poor marriages and built a fortress on the Danube River to defend her lands. Today, the fortress of Baba Vida stands in Vidin. It's like a stone testament to women's strength and leadership, guarding, enduring, and inspiring. Okay, these are not all of the women in Bulgaria that we have who were fighters. There's so many more that history cannot even write about, like take a hold of. There's so many more that are invisible, right? Like my little spiky orb weaver spider this morning. The lens could not capture the spider, but that didn't mean that the spider didn't exist. The lens couldn't even capture the web, but it doesn't mean that those women never existed, let alone never left footprints. Just as a side note, I actually know from my own family and my husband's family of such women whose swords remained, who defended the family against those foreign invasions. And when I talk about foreign invasions, I want to bring to your mind to think about people at the time who invaded and enslaved. They caused trauma. They raptured, they captured, they murdered, they abused, right? We're not just talking about some kind of cohabitation, two nations deciding to cohabit with somebody else. And I'm saying this because again and again, some politicians in our country nowadays have decided that we should just name it that. Like it was just some kind of easy cohabitation. No, it was an atrocious time of survival that lasted for 5 centuries in our country. And those women, they left the traces. It was thanks to those women that I'm here and I can tell those stories. And very likely you all are here as well. Let's talk now about the mirror in the Orthodox Christian Church. When people talk about Christianity, it breaks my heart how lost and blinded they are. It's not their fault. This is not to blame people, but it is the leaders' crooked lies that have instilled this false belief that we should be silent, that we're worthless, that we are valueless, that we don't have any voices, and a billion other absolutely crazy lies. I can talk about them, and I'm sure I probably have mentioned them in some of my other videos. But the Holy Orthodox Church actually mirrors those women's stories of stamina, and we can review them through the life stories of the Orthodox Christian Women Saints. So the Orthodox Church honors women who lived with equal courage and faith. Their examples shine like beacons, reminding us that courage can be both bold and gentle. Let's say Saint Marina of Antioch. So as I was going through my own craziness, what helped me was pray to Saint Marina. A dear friend of mine brought her up to me. And then, being completely broken, financially heartbroken, spiritually broken, I actually created my own prints of my own icons. This is her. If you guys know her, then wonderful. If you've never seen her, it just blows my mind how strong she is. I mean, her icon depicts her. She is beating the devil with the hammer. Isn't that amazing? Right? This is not a man. This is a woman, right? So if you've never heard of her, go ahead and Google her, Saint Marina of Antioch. Her short story, I'll just mention the short story, but there is a whole akathist prayer. There is a lot more that you guys can read about her if you were interested. In a nutshell, she was a young woman who faced torture and martyrdom under Roman persecution. She never renounced Christ, the truth, the life, the reality. She remembered as a powerful she is remembered as a powerful healer in our church, and she is the protector against evil. She was a fearless and as faithful, I should say, as Raina Knyaginya in her devotion. The story goes in a lot more depth, and I'll leave that to another time, or again, you guys can research her. Let's talk about Saint Zlata of Maglen. I don't have her here, but she is our family's patron saint. I did leave her in our prayer room. I'll just let it be. Saint Zlata of Maglen was the Bulgarian peasant girl who was martyred for her Christian faith during the Ottoman times. Basically, she was kidnapped by an Ottoman man and his gang, and she was forced into marriage with him. But his condition was that she should change her faith. Well, because she said no, she was martyred. Her story is absolutely astonishing. Her courage was quiet, but it was unwavering. Much like Baba Tonka's, standing firm through grief, through threat, refusing to yield even under pressure. Saint Petka Paraskeva, the Bulgarian, she fascinates me. She's not a warrior on the battlefield, but she is a spiritual intercessor nonetheless, and she gave up worldly riches in order to live a life of prayer and healing. Again, a healer, right? Her sacrifice reminds us of the true power that is sometimes quiet, enduring, and deeply maternal, like a mother's prayer. But I've got to tell you that she was one who, in her jitya, in her life stories I've read, she could not bear standing, like seeing poor people who had no clothes to cover their bodies with, so she would always give them her clothes. And then she would get in trouble with her parents who were rich, and they always would say stuff like, God knows, like, why would you give your best dress? Why would you give your best cloak, right? She was selfless. She was relentlessly selfless. She cared for justice, again, for the poor, for the minorities. Let's go to Saint Dymphna. Dymphna. So it's Dymphna, Dymphna. She's a 7th century Celtic martyr and a patron Orthodox saint of whose suffering from mental illness and abuse people receive intercessions and healing from, miraculous healings from. So if you turn to her, that would be a reason amongst too many other good ones. She was forced to flee her father's incestuous advances. So her father wanted to abuse her. It was incest. She stood strong in her faith until she was martyred. Her story of fleeing and of faithfulness to God is in the suffering mirrors the endurance and the sanctity that's seen in the Bulgarian heroines as well as the Orthodox saints alike. And she moves me because, again, as a therapist who works with trauma survivors, incest comes again and again and again. I give, shelter and courage, and I work with those who, have been abused. But what breaks my heart is to see that the modern day denominations, many Protestant churches, many, just those that broke away from the Orthodox Christian tradition, actually end up blaming the victim, giving forgiveness to the terrible perpetrators, and in the same token, they teach the victim to not have a voice, that she has no choice, that as a woman she's the seductress, that she deserved it. It's a complete nonsense. It's so distorted, and it's so far away from the true Orthodox Christian faith. I don't call them Christians. Those are just some kind of made-up clowns. And I'm not afraid, obviously, to say that, and I'm saying it because I want to instill courage and faith in you guys to follow the truth. The truth matters. The truth is the only thing that can set you free. Let's talk about Saint Agnes of Rome. Well, she was sexually abused. She is a saint of the 3rd century. She was a virgin martyr who refused marriage to a pagan official's son. So then she was sent to a brothel to be publicly humiliated. But the legend tells us that God protected her with a miraculous intervention by making her hair grow so long that it covered her body, her body's innocence. Through torture and death, at just the age of 13, she bore witness to unwavering faith and purity, inspiring generations with her courage and holiness. I'm not afraid to share these stories. These are just a few, it's a bitsy tiny little, few stories. But I really want to be the voice and encourage you to have voice, because those, again, denominations, broken cultish sects that I hear from have dared to say that victims who have endured abuse have mental health issues and they should not be trusted. This is so wrong and so much against Christian teachings, so much against Christ, that it blows my mind. Here we have those saints. They bear witness. They're still intercessing for us. They are the voice. They are the intercession in the church. And so, come back to the roots. Come back to the truth. Come back to the Holy Orthodox Church, because this is what Christ has established. Nothing else that broke away from it can give you the fullness of the faith. And so what do these women share? Whether sewing flags, carrying daggers, or standing at the gates of persecution, these women share self-offering, strength in the face of hardship, love for the truth, unwavering love for justice, a commitment to something greater than themselves. They did not care for people pleasing. They didn't care what mom and dad told them. They didn't care what the politicians told them. They didn't care what society told them. They followed the truth, period. Easy. They did not wait for permission. They did not play small. They embodied the Orthodox ethos, loving so deeply that they were willing to suffer, to protect, to serve, and even to die for what is holy. Now, I'm not talking about some kind of Roman Catholic guilt. Some of my, people that I've worked with, colleagues in school, used to say, oh, I'm a repentant, Catholic guilt, blah, blah, blah. No, because there is holy suffering, and then there is satanical suffering. Satanical suffering is more like a narcissistic show of vainglory. Those that pretend to be always the victim, they get themselves into dramatic stories, and they're the center of attention. Holy suffering and holy martyrdom is not something we go and ask for. It is something that happens to us because we stand up for the truth. That's it. It's a consequence because we live in an absolutely perverted and crooked world. It's impossible not to get hurt when you speak the truth. So there's holy martyrdom and suffering versus the satanical, crooked, narcissistic suffering. You guys, please make that distinction. So fine, so what about all of us who live in the world, right? We who are here in this modern world. I think the world hasn't changed since the Old Testament, honestly, but we are in the world. Let's draw some modern parallels, but let's dig deep. So today, the battlefield looks more different, probably, but the stakes remain. For example, truth versus lies, freedom versus fear, God's way versus the world's way, holy martyrdom versus satanical clownship, narcissistic clownship. In America, courage may look like telling the truth amid falsehood, raising children in faith, or protecting the vulnerable. In Bulgaria, it may be preserving Orthodox faith in a secular age, caring for the elders, teaching the truth, or remembering the women who came before us and spreading the word about them. Both East and West, I don't know which side you both are looking at, East and West, the lesson is the same. Women are not weak. Freedom requires sacrifice. True strength looks like Raina's ride, Zlata's refusal, Tonka's prayers, Dymphna's flight, Agnes' purity and faith, Marina's courage to hammer the devil in the head. Let us not only admire these women, though, like from Raina's bold ride to Baba Vida's fortress, from Saint Agnes' purity to Saint Dymphna's flight, and above all, the Mother of God. I mean, let's talk about the Mother of God. I really wanted to include her, the Theotokos, the Holy Mother of God. In Western denominations, I rarely hear her name being mentioned. But you guys, she's the one who gave this unfailing yes to God's plan. God's web that holds us even when we don't see how He holds us, even when our prayers are not coming true right away, even when we have those fancy desires and we are so disappointed that, how could God allow this to happen? Well, how about this invisible thread that He has laid for us, and He captures us in spite of our unbelief? She is the one who gave yes to God's plan, however invisible and incomprehensible to us it may look. Let us tell their stories, write their names in our children's prayers, in our children's books. Carry their courage into our homes, schools, hospitals, and churches, those women that lived the Orthodox stamina and courage. The Mother of God, I want to say before wrapping up, is the iconic human womb. Her womb carried God Himself. If everything God touches is sanctified, turned sacred, imagine this woman's womb, what it was. It was a temple holding this God, creator of you and I, of everything around us. So honestly, this God who can perform miracles, who can do everything and anything, He could have also made a man give birth, for crying out loud. But you know what? He chose a woman. And this is something to contemplate. Go there. Don't be afraid of the truth. Don't be afraid to have courage. And again, don't be afraid of the power that's within, so long that that power is Christ-centered. Because courage in skirts is not just history, it is a living flame passed from one heart to another heart, from soul to soul, from generation to generation, under the protection and example of the Mother of God, the Theotokos herself. It's a whole pattern that we leave behind our footsteps. What do you choose today? What's your committed action? What's your choice? Is it a choice out of fear? Is the choice out of courage to pursue the truth? And so I hope that this may burn in you today and in the weeks, months, and years time going forward. And if you guys explore the little spider that I was talking about, the spiky, what do you call it, orb weaving spider, you might actually find out, there was a place where I found out, they were talking about that the spider's circadian rhythms actually do not match what scientists tell us we and animals should have. So basically they're contradicting, those spiders contradict science. They are counter-natural. They're probably supernatural. I thought how fascinating that on this day when we're talking about a woman's courage, women's courage, a spider symbolism, and the fullness in the Orthodox Christian faith, that we could also wrap it all around almost like this little crochet work. And by the way, people say, why should I do what God wants me to do? Why do I have to follow rules? Let me tell you this. I crochet. If you've ever crocheted, you will understand. If you've never crocheted, then I'll give you this analogy. If I want to crochet something, I have to follow a pattern. If I change one single loop on this, one single stitch, this may not fit my doll. It may turn into a complete mess and disaster. Go ahead and crochet a doily. It has intricate patterns that make it look like these gorgeous web designs, spider web designs. They start from the center, and then you have to follow certain patterns. It's a repeat. Every circle, every loop, every time you get to the new spiral, you have to repeat a new, probably new pattern. But it's a pattern. You can change the pattern in every circle, but you cannot just whimsically decide to add or reduce or change things just chaotically. If you do, you're not going to have a doily, you're going to have a messy rag. And this is something to contemplate too. Think about it. I hope that this brings you hope and inspiration. If these are not the things you are interested in, please don't feel burdened. Everything is up to your free choice. After all, you are a human being with a head on your shoulders. And if you like this, then I welcome you back again in the future. I will do my best as much as possible, whatever my time and resources allow me to do. But I send you my positivity, and my prayers are always with you guys. And yeah, I hope this finds you well. Thank you. Bye.